Hello, my name is Garth Gunderson. I have been doing this for a couple years now on this channel, on and off. I've been trying to stay consistent, and that is one of the hardest things. And this is my cat. Her name is Pawa. She's a naked cat. She's a Sphinx. If you haven't seen a naked cat before, one I have. But this particular topic has been on my mind, and I just feel like it's something that not a lot of people talk about. And I feel like, honestly, like, it's cliche to say, but nowadays people don't talk about much. We're just fed such an influx of data, constantly of news and, social media and pop culture and all these things and all these trends and things that we're supposed to try and do and see and whatnot. It's almost like overwhelming, right? And so therefore, I just feel like, especially since, obviously COVID, we don't talk as much. There's still like an aspect of like awkwardness when people kind of interact in person, right? But I can go on and on about that. It's just one thing that I wanted to make light of is like why 27 can be so and feel so difficult. And I'm saying that because I'm just kind of reflecting on 27. I just turned 28 a few months ago, and 27 was definitely one of the more difficult and definitely more confusing years of my life thus far. And I kind of just like off the top of my head just kind of thought about like why that is. And it's such an age where we're in this transitionary period. I remember when I turned 18, I remember thinking like I come from a very, conservative household. So it's like when you're 18, you're an adult. You're legal, you're an adult. Which yes, I do to still to some degree agree with that. You're an adult at a legal, from like a legal perspective, or like in the eyes of, the law, you know, and but you're not fully developed, and you're not really an adult until much later. And I think that number is not the same for everyone. I think it's different for everyone. It just depends on how you grew up, where you went to school, et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately, those are varying factors for everyone, right? So I think 27 is like, it's like the ideal age, like 27, 28 is the ideal age of like, all right, you're coming up on 30, like you should have a house. Maybe you have a kid, maybe you have two kids, maybe you have three kids, maybe you have a house, two cars, three kids. Maybe you've already been divorced, unfortunately. Maybe you're still living with your parents. Maybe you have a job but not a career. Or you're in a career and you hate it. It's not what you wanted to do. You went to college for something and you don't like it. And now you want to figure out something else, but you put so much time and money and energy into whatever that thing is, and it's just not it. And it's such a period of time of like you're almost, it's almost like it's like letting go of who you were, who that youthful person was, and then transitioning into adulthood. But you still have some of that youthful energy, and you still hold on to that, and you should hold on to that. But it's like there's this societal pressure and self pressure of like, no, I should have things figured out. But you don't, or you may not, or maybe you do, and there are people who do, and I can tell you I'm definitely not one of them. But I feel a lot more grounded. I feel a lot more mature. I feel like I'm definitely not the same person I was from like 18 to 22, and I know what I want to do, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to get there. And then also taking a step back and just like taking that pressure off and like enjoying the journey. And that's really cliche, and it's really hard to just like take a step back and like be like, yeah, this is what I wanted, even if it doesn't feel like all that glamorous, if that makes sense. I also know there's like obviously like there's the 27 Club, and I love conspiracies, but it's like 27 is near 10,000 days on Earth, and so that's like, if you want to get into numbers, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, like I should, like I've got experience, like I'm a seasoned Earthling, if you will, and I should know how to do things. And for the most part, yeah, but there's still such a hastiness there. And I feel like your mask at 27, like your mask comes off. And you start to finally accept yourself. And that's a hard process within itself. And at the same time, you're taking the mask off and you're finally like really getting comfortable in your own skin, but so are your peers, and then they take their masks off and maybe they're not the person that you want to be around anymore, you know? And that's hard. And your parents are getting older, and your friends are doing things that are amazing, which are amazing, but you have to not compare. And that's very hard too, and that's human nature. And I feel like it's just one of those things where it's like, when I think back, like of my year of 27 for me was like, I got fired for the first time, was nearly homeless, in the worst financial spot in my life, and you know, thankfully, like I've been able to bounce back, but it's very hard to bounce back, and the system, you know, works against us. It, things can just be so difficult once you've reached a certain point, you know, near the bottom of like whatever your situation is. So it's just food for thought, you know, like, why does it feel so difficult? I think it's just like one of those ages where there's such a overlap. There's such an overlap of like society, and you're supposed to be in a certain financial spot, or maybe you're supposed to be married, or maybe you're supposed to have a house, or maybe you're supposed to have it all, and you're supposed to have a dog and green grass and a white picket fence. But you know, more often than not, and more frequent than not nowadays, with how expensive things can be and it works against us, it's like it's not always the case. And I think more of us, including myself, should give ourselves more grace and like be more accepting of that. And again, take a step back and just be like, still pretty young, still got a lot of time to figure things out. So I hope this might resonate with somebody, you know, that is either which was just 27, is turning 27, is currently 27. Hold on for that ride, because it's quite literally like it's like a I don't even know what to call it. It's like a turnover of sorts. It's like, I'm not talking about the religious holiday, but it's like it's like a wave comes over you, and you're like it's like a shedding. And I do kind of feel like it's like a transition. It is the official kind of like transition into adulthood, you know, and not even adulthood, just like to yourself. Like, you figure yourself out, and you come to more terms with like who you are. So, there's my cat again. Yeah, that's all I got. I just came up from a long day at work and was just like, you know what? I feel inclined to talk about this and express that, because I feel like we should all express things more. Thank you. My name's Garth. Party on.